we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. I'm your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time listening, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I always say, if you ever wanted to reach out to the podcast in any way, hit us up on our DMs, either on our Twitter or our Instagram at the Bigmark Pod or at the Bigmark Podcast. You can check us out on our Patreon, patreon.com/Bigmark if you wanted to support the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Hit the like button on this video and then subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next upload. And yeah, just follow along, tell a friend. All it takes for us to, we can easily double the podcast overnight if you just tell one friend that you think would like the podcast anyway. Tell them to check us out. And yeah, like I said, thanks so much for listening. Whatever brought you here, I'd like to know. Let me know how and where and how you heard about us and why you're here and everything. Because again, when I talk to people who listen, they say, you kind of come from this diverse background and they wonder what other listeners are like, what other listeners are listening, because they see guys out there, they see that that people are listening, but they wonder because again, it's just such a, and this is what I strive to do. I strive to go far, explore different reaches, my own interests, which I consider pretty vast. And like, obviously, I consider pretty varied, I should say. Yes, maybe it's not as vast as can be or cover every single possible topic. And who knows, maybe we'll get there eventually. It's only like episode 122 or whatever. But, Another thing that I hope brings more people into the community, the Bigmark podcast listening community. I hope episodes like I'm doing today will kind of help people. I've done episodes like Sober October in past years. Other episodes where it's something that's not only a topic of interest, it's also a little bit more about, kind of like my personal life. And, I never wanted to start this podcast to fucking toot my own horn, in the sense that I think I'm a fucking great example that everyone should strive to. The only thing that I think I'm offering for you guys as listeners, or what I can bring to the universe, to the universal table, is that, I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do different things. I'm like with music and with, just like general things in life, but, plans that I have and wanting to see them through, it makes me think, when I first started the podcast, kind of leading up to it, I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I loved listening to podcasts back then. I still love listening to them now, but I was really inspired by no other than the legendary Joey Diaz on a podcast. I think he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about that the podcast keeps him honest, because he comes and he can say things and he can bring some of his dreams and aspirations and ideas to the table and say, hey, listen, everyone, this is what I'm doing. And he has obviously a gigantic listenership, multiple times the size of mine, tens of times the size of my listenership. But he knows that if he, Joey Diaz getting into jiu-jitsu, he says he's going to go to jiu-jitsu class and his fucking live streams, or he tweets it or whatever. And that night he's got a bunch of people asking him, how did jiu-jitsu go? And if he doesn't go, he's got people saying, what the fuck? And like, again, this isn't a call to say, hey, I'm asking you to fucking come at me, do whatever you like, obviously. But what I'm saying is that I know you guys are out there. I know you guys are listening. And when I say I want to do something, I want to follow that through, because I said it here, and it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like some weird fucking like The Secret or something, where it's like you're putting something out into the universe and like manifesting it, and that shit's like, writing it down, or just like saying it out loud and then like manifesting and putting on a vision board or whatever the fuck. This is in a sense that, because I'm fucking putting it out into the interwebs, into that fucking world. And I got people, and I got all you guys listening from around the globe. So ideas are interesting, right? Ideas and plans and dreams and aspirations and all that, they all stem from somewhere in the mind. They must. Or if not, they live in this kind of ethereal realm, right? Where does what is an idea, once it comes from someone's mind and it's out there and everyone's thinking about it, everyone knows what the concept is, becomes something different, becomes something that's known, becomes something that's knowledge. And yes, maybe we'll always give credence to the person who came up with it, but maybe not. Maybe things will get lost to the universe, and we'll just accept that knowledge as fact and move on. Or like common sense stuff, right? Like, or again, like, do those ideas become common sense? But the way we think about common sense ideas now, no one came up with these ideas. They just are, and they just make sense. And that's what an idea is. And, that's what creative things are, where that's the idea of, I don't really come up with anything. I'm just a channel. It comes up in music a lot. You either hear it in documentaries, and I've experienced it myself, where you either play a tune or you play a little riff or you write something or something comes from you, and you can't even say that you came up with the idea, as much as, yes, you as the person executed the thought and said it and were the first person to say it in the band or in the group or whatever. That feeling still of like, that came from somewhere. I think Buddy Guy was talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan once. And Stevie Ray Vaughan, this is what Buddy Guy was talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan. He was saying Stevie Ray Vaughan plays guitar very differently than many other blues guitarists. When blues guitarists play, they play a little lick, they wait. They play another lick, they wait. They go with the music. They let the beat carry a little bit longer. They let the rhythm section do their thing, and then they come in with their licks. And that's usually the time where the guitar player thinks about what he's going to play next, or, again, takes a little break, however you want to say it. That's just how it's worked into the music. But Stevie never really took those breaks. He just played right through. And it seemed to be coming from somewhere else. It seemed to be this channel just coming through him nonstop of pure creativity and pure. Again, it's like bypassing that stage of like an idea. It's just becoming pure reality. But again, that whole idea of pun intended, I guess, just thinking about it, but that whole concept of, I'm going to bring something to this podcast platform. I'm going to put it there, and it's going to be, not only have I created that idea in my head or channeled that through my body, however you want to say it, I brought that out and said, all right, here it is to the universe that exists, but I'm also saying here, now it's on fucking semi-permanent, existence on the internet. Because again, who knows what's going to fucking happen to hard drives, to YouTube if it fucking shuts down, or who knows if podcasts are going to be around forever. But right now it's semi-permanent. So it exists somehow. Yeah, it requires computers to read or decipher the fucking code to listen to the podcast and whatever. But here we are. And again, that was maybe a little bit tangential, but the idea is I want to do something again with my life, bring it to you guys because I care about you guys, because I want to build this podcast, because I want to create an example, and I don't know how I want to say this, because again, I don't want to sound ostentatious or pretentious, but again, I want to give myself out there, give this idea out there, look for support, look for inspiration, however it is. If you're asking me, if you're telling me whatever it is, I want you to engage with me, because I want to go on this journey. I want to take steps on the same journey with you if you're going through the same thing. Now, again, by the title of the podcast, you probably have a vague idea of what's happening, but I want to talk about, my fitness journey. And the reason why I say it like that is that, I was a personal trainer right out of university, and fitness is always a really interesting thing. It's primary care. It's before you're ever going to get sick. It's actually usually done when you're feeling the best, which is always the weirdest thing about fitness, because in fact, working out will actually make you feel better, especially if you're already feeling shitty. But that's the time where you have the least motivation to go fucking work out. I understand this. And it's the place where people want to spend the least amount of money, even though at the end of the day, if you pay for a fucking personal trainer, let alone a good membership, but if you pay for a good personal trainer and in fact a good dietitian in the mix, both of those together, yeah, they might be relatively expensive. But if you put that time and effort in now, and you do all this work, and you pay all this money essentially up front, you're probably going to be saving money down the line when you're healthier as an older person, and maybe in fact, lengthen your longevity, lengthen your life, or lengthen that period of time where you are healthy and you can take advantage of life. And then maybe at the end, yeah, there's medical expenses and things like that. But thankfully we live in Canada, so hopefully things are relatively good. But again, you're either pay me now or you pay me later. It's kind of one of those scenarios, right? And I fall victim to the same fucking thing. I was a person, like I said, before I was a personal trainer, I played football at university. For a few years before I blew my shoulder out. I didn't play for the team on the field like that, in the sense I played beefs and we won the Ontario's. It was tremendous, but I was on the team, University of Western Ontario. Shout out Mustangs. And I fucking busted my ass for that, man. I worked really hard in the gym. I probably could have been a little bit better on the diet, but I was just working out so fucking hard. It didn't really matter so much what I was fucking putting in my body. I fucking crushed it between first and second year, that's for sure, when I came back and worked out with Travis. Shout out Travis Cannell's DNA Fitness. But it's one of those things that I feel like a lot of student athletes go through. And when you're done playing your sport and you graduated, you're on to the next thing. If your job doesn't necessarily require you to be, fit. I know some people who are, police officers or other personal trainers, but jobs where, you're kind of required to professional football players, things like that, where you're required to stay fit. It's tough to find that motivation. At least I can speak for myself, right? I can speak for myself in the sense that without that motivation, it's really hard for me to really put the time and effort in that's really required. And that's tough for me, because if I'm really fucking sloppy, if I'm really lazy with my diet especially, but working out or doing anything, my fucking body blows the fuck out, big time blowout. And that's kind of the normal trajectory for student athletes, right? You kind of, especially for football players, where depending on your position, I was an offensive lineman, you have to kind of keep a little bit of fucking weight in the seat, if you know what I mean. Like between first and second year, I fucking busted my ass and I fucking lost a bunch of weight. And I came back. I honestly felt a little bit fucking too light. And it was not really fucking good. It was not conducive. I was fast. I was really quick. But I found that it was just like, as an offensive lineman, you got to push people around and not get pushed around that much. But I felt like I was kind of getting pushed around. So I ate a little bit more, and it's really easy, especially at Western, because they feed you. But during training camp, especially, you can add a lot of food. And again, because I was really light, I was probably the lightest I had been in a long time. I just felt like, fuck it, I can just get after it, eat it up, get down. And then I knew I had to raise the weight a little bit. So I kind of plateaued about 320 mostly. And I know that might sound like a fucking shock to people, but I'm 6'7", and I've always been a pretty like big framed guy. So I carry it differently than a lot of people. So you wouldn't necessarily think of that as like really sloppy fat. But problem is, I got a fucking hernia. I don't really know how I got it. It's like an umbilical one. It's in my fucking belly button. Not to get like too gory or scientific on anybody, but essentially there's your abdomen, where your abs are, that area where your abdominals are. You have like a big kind of sheet of tissue called a fascia. It's like, holds your muscles kind of in place, allows them to kind of move in certain planes and protects them in some ways and holds them or gives them support. And there's a rip in that fascia, and I believe right now what's poking through is like subcutaneous fat and things like that. It's not, I don't know if it's actually like muscle or anything, but it fucking hurts like a motherfucker sometimes. And I went to get it checked at Schuldeis. That's what it is. I almost want to say Schulich, but that's another fucking thing at Western. Shout out Western. Schuldeis, which is like a world-renowned hernia clinic in Thorndale? No. Something like that, up like north of Toronto area. Nice area. Really beautiful facility. The guy fucking pushed his fingers in my gut, man. Like I basically felt, oh, that was brutal. And he was just testing it out, seeing what it was like. And I was like, fuck. But what basically hurt the most in that fucking ordeal was that he came at me because they weighed me before, they did the whole fucking gambit. And they do their little calculations with their body mass index. And it's a pretty fucking janky measurement to use, but essentially using the BMI, I'm like in deep shit. I'm like morbidly obese essentially, which again, like I said, and you're looking at me right now if you're watching YouTube, yeah, I'm no skinny mini, but I'm not like a fucking fat shit, the whale, maybe halfway, but I still, according to the BMI, body mass index, I'm not in a good position. So, and for hernia operations, better to have like, not a lot of fat to deal with, and it'll promote healing better, and it'll do all this stuff, right? Like I think that's a big part of why they tell you to lose a lot of weight before any surgery, is that you're just going to be like healthier. And it's true, man. Like even being like, I think it's like even being like 20 pounds or 15 pounds overweight, like severely increases like every fucking every morbidity, like every, possible thing that could kill you. It increases that chance the more overweight you are. And I get that we live in a culture that body positivity is very, very crucial and it's very important. I do believe that it is very important. And I think body positivity is necessary and we have to practice it, but we have to practice it in the sense that we're not pressuring anybody to push themselves to the limit, to fucking hurt themselves, to lose weight, or to get to a healthier weight. Now, it's a weird way of, it's hard to talk about because, again, I understand some people are in positions where it's really hard for them to lose weight. They're just naturally built that way. Yes, that's totally fine. Not saying that there's any ideal body shape that you need to get to, but for your own being, you want to be as healthy as possible, right? You just want to be, because again, like I said, all that extra poundage just starts fucking compounding a lot of different things, and you get a lot of different issues based on that. Now, I come from a sports world, yes. I don't come from necessarily like fucking wrestling or rowing or like sports where you have to like make weight and do all that fucking shit, and you're like constantly. But like, we were weighed at the beginning of the season and throughout the season, and that was a lot of it for like drug testing and things like that, and like making sure we weren't fucking getting too big. But like, you do think about your weight and you think about your body a lot. And again, as an O-lineman, we were not the fucking good looking guys, where there was like our, other skill position dudes or whatever, even guys on the fucking defense, like it didn't matter what position. Some guys were like fucking cut, and there's probably some guys on the team that felt like they were too skinny. Like there's like such a wide range of body types on a football team, but it probably goes for every sport, right? Because again, it's just like you're very focused on like your body and like performance and what you can do and flexibility and things. You're just like constantly thinking about like your physique and things like that. Like it can kind of get in people's heads, I think. And like I said, when you're done, you either fucking blow out or you get really skinny. And or fit, like skinny fit, I guess kind of falls in the same category. But you got to just drastically change the way you fucking work out. Excuse me. I was working out heavy weights, man. Lifting heavy weights. And like, especially at like fucking since COVID. Like I probably couldn't even really do a fucking push-up right now. Like I'm talking, like this fitness journey we're talking about, people. It's fucking starting at ground zero. It's starting at level 1. Level 0. And it's fucking daunting, and it's kind of fucking scary. Because, like, I think it might have been, like, just as we were opening out of COVID, potentially. It might have been even before then. But I was working out with my buddy D. Brooks. He's been on the podcast. I was working out with him, and I hired him to be my personal trainer it was during a Sober October. Fuck, that's what it was. It was during a Sober October, so I think it was actually pre-COVID. Fuck, I don't know. Did I even start this podcast pre-COVID? I don't know. I don't even know, people. 122. What was 122 weeks ago? It was like 2 years. Anywho, during COVID, I did the Sober October, which was fucking crazy. But I worked out with D. Brooks, and I remember him giving me like really great exercises. He came up with an awesome plan. It was going to be really, really awesome. Or sorry, it was totally awesome it was a quick one because we were only together for 4 weeks. But, he was giving me really good, I don't want to say simple or easy, but like doable exercises that anyone who has like relatively good fitness could do. And which I thought I was. And when we worked together as personal trainers, because him and I worked together when I was a personal trainer, anyone should be able to do those exercises. And he started giving me just like, again, straight up push-ups. And I was weaker than a motherfucker, man. So weak. And that was a while back now. And like, I haven't fucking done shit. I've played a little basketball. I've been playing basketball with the Lithuanians once a week. And it's been a little bit sporadic. Because we've had snowstorms and fucking March breaks and all types of shits. So that's good. It's great on the cardio. And there's usually this other big fucking fella that comes out, so we clang and bang. And I definitely feel like I'm getting a bit of a workout there, but obviously it's not getting every muscle group, so to speak. And I got a kettlebell here at home. I got a stationary bike. I got a fucking yoga mat. I can get shit done. I can do stuff here. And that's probably what I'm going to do. But I got to get in a gym, man. That's my fucking problem. I got to get in a gym. If I don't get in a gym, I'm in the shits. I've always been that way. I've been a guy who likes to go. I like to change my environment to what I'm doing. And again, that's probably fucking from my weirdo jock sports ideas. But, like even in school, when I was in school, I like to go study in the library. I like to like remove myself from like home. And obviously COVID has been like the fucking anti of that. Luckily I had a job where I was out on the road a lot. But even during those fucking times was wild. I was dropping beers off for people, but excuse me. It's the only way I'm going to get started, at least. Because, again, I got a ways to go, people. I got a ways to go because the motherfucking doctor said I got to lose 100 pounds, man. 100 pounds. And it's daunting. And like I said, the BMI is bullshit. But bottom line is the doctor says I got to lose a hundo. And that would put me at like 260 something. No, not even. Right now, if I lost 100 from where I'm at, but I think from when I started, I've lost. This is an ongoing thing right now, people. I forgot. I meant to mention this. Where things really started was like probably back September-ish, maybe. September of last year. Let's say August, since I started my new job. But since then, I've been on my fucking diet like a motherfucker. Actually recently kind of slipping, but I was on it like a motherfucker and I lost like close to 40 pounds. Like no shit, because I was really heavy when I started. I think I was like, I don't think it was the heaviest I'd ever been, but I think I was pushing like I think I was almost 360. So again, I think that was about the heaviest I'd ever been. It was like 360 something, 360, 361. And I was pushing up there. I was getting up there. And it was just like fucking not healthy and not good. Didn't feel good. I was lethargic. Like let alone who knows what the fuck else was going on. But drastically changed my diet. You know, incorporating salads a lot, not eating late, drinking water. That's the biggest thing. You got to drink water. And I lost so much weight. But that wasn't with exercise. That was not with added exercise. Again, yeah, playing a little bit of Lithuanian ball, but that was only in the past couple months. So I lost all that weight just from fucking changing my diet. And that was always the weirdest thing when I was personal training was like, I always had to stress, listen, we can do anything you want in this gym right now. Even if you were capable, we could run for miles and miles. But if you're going home and you're eating fucking cheeseburgers, nothing we do in here is going to fucking conquer that, because that has time and hours. It's in you, it's in your body. It's fucking the building blocks of all that work that we're trying to do in the gym. Your fucking materials that you're going to grab are fucking trash. Again, think about it. If you're building a house, if you're building a motherfucking, if your body is a temple, if you're building that temple, because remember, your body's cells re-replicate, like every single cell in your body, every single cell it has changed over and has replicated and is no longer that old cell. Every 7 years, it replicates. Different cells replicate quicker, like red blood cells. They only last 120 days. So you're constantly recreating red blood cells. So that goes for all the other cells. Your bone, brain, every cell dies and is born again and is replaced by a whole new cell. And your body has to create that and build that up and take all the proteins and carbohydrates and sugars and all that stuff and take that apart and then use those building blocks accordingly to create these new cells. So imagine if you're fucking building this temple and you're going to the fucking corner store and you're buying the worst fucking materials you can possibly buy and you're building out of fucking matchsticks and popsicle sticks and fucking bullshit. It's not a temple, man. It's not going to be good. It's going to be built to shit. So you got to think about that. You got to put good stuff in. You got to put good building blocks. You got to put good fucking nutrients. Make sure everything's taken care of. And again, this is the problem with diets and stuff, is that a lot of diets completely remove, like, so they're called macros. anyone who's listening who doesn't know, macros are protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Those are the three main like nutrients that we as humans have to eat. And for a long time, people have cut one of those things out. You got to eat one more, you got to eat one less. You got to, again, playing with those macros, I think is scary though. And like the sugar industry came in and totally villainized fat, and we really removed that from our diets. And that's, I think, really fucked us up. But again, this whole idea of putting in those good nutrients, those good building blocks, and eventually, now asking you to do this for 7 years straight sounds like a lot. And that's not what I'm saying. But just start at a few days, because again, your cells replicate at different speeds. So at least you start somewhere, right? Put in a month. Just do it for a month. And that doesn't even necessarily mean every day, but if you start with your diet and you get really strict with that, that's one place to be strict, and that's fine. But if you just start working out somewhere. And like I said, I'm going to be fucking working out with you. That's what I want to do this. That's why I want to do this. I want to hear about your journey. I want to hear about what you're doing, because I know y'all are out there and know y'all are working out. And if you're not, I know some of you are thinking about it. And even if you're not thinking about it, that's okay. Because there's this golden opportunity out there to treat your body right and to get yourself into a place where it's not about looks. It's not about impressing other people. It's about seeing what your body's capable of. And it's fascinating. There's extremes, of course. You don't have to be a fucking bodybuilder, crazy Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then you don't have to be fucking anorexic, super skinny, and fucking hurt yourself and develop eating disorders either, because that's, of course, unhealthy as well. So we have to find this middle ground. And again, starting in a way that's acceptable, and we don't want to shame anybody to get out of that either. We've been presented with these foods, and there's really unhealthy foods that are out there that we can get our hands on, and we really want to avoid those as much as we can. But because they're out there and people ingest them, it changes our body chemistry. It changes the way things are. I don't know how to change it. I don't know how to get away from it, because that shit tastes good. I'm not going to fucking lie. I love the way that shit tastes. So follow along with me. I want to hear from you. I want to hear about this, because again, this is going to be really exciting. Starting tonight. And you know what I'm starting with? Literally one fucking push-up, one fucking squat, and one fucking sit-up. That's it. And every day I'm just going to fucking tack one on, until I can't tack another one on consecutive days. And I'm going to keep going till I can tack another one on. That's fucking it. It's not about setting goals that are going to fucking crush you. And it's not about it. The problem is sometimes we set these awesome goals, but we create these fucking unwavering penalties that if we don't reach those goals, the whole thing goes to shit. So let's break that mindset. Let's get out of that way of thinking. Let's get out there. Come along with me. We're going on a fitness journey together. That was a great fucking episode. We went all around. You took a little walk around my mind. It's called a stream of consciousness, baby. Thank y'all for listening. I love you all. Check out our Patreon. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, follow along on our Instagram, Twitter. Hit us up on our DMs. Patreon. Patreon.com/thebigmarkpod. Tell your friends. Tell your wife. Tell your kids. Get on the fitness train with me, because I want to pump you up. Peace.